Hello, 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 everybody. I wanted to do something a little bit different today. I wanted to go ahead and take an interesting personality test. This is I believe it's called is it the Myers-Briggs personality test? Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe it's Carl Jung's. Apparently Carl Jung came up with it. I'm not sure if it's the Myers-Briggs. Maybe the Myers... Oh, no, it is. Okay, it says it right here, Myers-Briggs. So the idea of this test, now it's not a scientific test, it's a psychological test, and so what that means is it's not scientific, it's not, like, there's disagreement about how useful this test is, how accurate this test is. You can take it and then disagree with the conclusions, and you're not crazy for disagreeing with the conclusions, because the categories that they lay out and the categories that they offer to put you in are not necessarily like the end-all be-all. So, with that little asterisk here before we start, I wanted to go ahead and take it for you because I find it interesting either way. Like, I find the categorizations that they offer here interesting either way. I remember I took this one time in high school in a psychology class, and I thought it was pretty cool. And then I've taken it maybe 2 times since high school because, again, I thought it was pretty cool. On a random night when I wasn't doing anything, I was like, let me take this thing again. So, to give you the general breakdown here, they say, according to Carl Jung's theory of psychological types, people can be characterized by their preference or general attitude. And then he breaks it down like this. There's extroverted versus introverted. We all know those categories. I'm sure, you have opinions as to where you fall on that spectrum and where other people who you know fall on that spectrum. Their preference for one of the 2 types of perception, so that's sensing versus intuition. I'm not sure exactly how I would define the difference between those 2, but we could read about that. And then their preference of one of the 2 functions of judging. So there's like thinking versus feeling. So are you like very logical and rational and in your thought and how you break stuff down, or do you act more based off of like how you feel? And then they continue here and say the 3 areas of preferences introduced by Jung are dichotomies, bipolar dimensions where each pole represents a different preference. Jung also proposed that in a person, one of the 4 functions above is dominant, either a function of perception or a function of judging. Isabel Briggs Myers, a researcher and practitioner of Jung's theory, proposed to see the judging-perceiving relationship as a 4th dichotomy, influencing personality type. And then it says Myers-Briggs 1980, that's the name of the test. And so I guess she added judging versus perceiving, which is another categorization that they offer here. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it, and let's take the test. So, the free personality test is based on Carl Jung and Isabel Briggs Myers' personality type theory. Upon completion of the questionnaire, you will obtain your 4-letter type formula. Discover careers and occupations most suitable for your personality type, along with examples of educational institutions and where you can get a relevant degree or training. Understand communication and learning styles for your type. See which famous personalities share your type. We'll be able to use the results of this test as an input into the Jung marriage test, interesting, to assess your compatibility with your long-term romantic partner. That's actually kind of hilarious because there are probably people who thought they were madly in love and then they took this test and they realized they weren't compatible and then it actually like ruined their relationship. But by the way, like I said, this isn't actually scientific, so I would take all of this with a giant grain of salt. All this right here with a giant grain of salt, because that might be the reason why it's not scientific, is because there's not necessarily leaps you could make based off of your personality type like this. Okay, so you are almost never late for your appointments. Yes. I'll go with a small yes, not a big yes, because on the very, 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 very rare occasions I will be, but most of the time I'm pretty much on time, so I'll go yes. You like to be engaged in an active and fast-paced job. I'm going to go no. I don't think I do. I like time to soak stuff in and relax. You enjoy having a wide circle of acquaintances. Not really, no. I don't really enjoy that. I'd rather have like a few friends who I'm very close to than like a quadrillion friends who I'm not. You feel involved when watching TV soaps. I think it kind of depends on which one. So yes, sometimes, no other times. I'm going to go with uncertain. You are usually the first to react to a sudden event, the telephone ringing or unexpected question. I'm going to say no, because I actually literally never answer my phone. If I don't know who's calling, I will 100% never answer it ever. You feel that the world is founded on compassion. No. Not even close. You think that everything in the world is relative. I think that everything in the world is relative. That's a very weird thing to say. I'm not sure exactly what they mean, but I'm inclined to say no, I don't think everything in the world is relative. Strict observance of the established rules is likely to prevent attaining a good outcome. Yeah, because I think the rules now suck, so I'm going to say yes. It is difficult to get you excited. Is it difficult to get me excited? I'm afraid to answer that because I don't want people to interpret this sexually. But putting aside the creepy sexual angle, is it difficult to get me excited in general? I actually do think yes, because I feel like I'm so jaded and beaten down from following the news so closely for so many years. When making a decision, you rely more on your feelings than on analysis of the situation. You know, I like to think that I'm like rational and logical and break things down in a way that makes sense, and in some ways that's true, but in other ways that's not true. I feel like I go with my intuition and my gut like almost all the time, and then after the fact I'll like rationalize it and break it down. You know what I mean? So like the intuition and the gut feeling leads, and then the rationalization comes after, where it's almost like I pretend I'm so rational and logical, but I'm really not. But I really don't know. I'm just going to go with uncertain on that one. That's too tough for me to really... Like, I have a hard time judging myself properly. Like, I'm not good at self-perception. Some people are very good at that. I'm not the best at that. You often think about humankind and its destiny. Yeah, I do. I do think about that. You believe the best decision is one which can be easily changed. You believe the best decision is one which can be easily changed. I mean, there's a great saying from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the time is always right to do what's right. And I believe in that, and that's one of my favorite quotes of all time. But I'm also a realist in the sense that, objectively speaking, it's not true that the best decision is always easy. Sometimes the best decision is actually really, really, really hard. So I'm just going to go uncertain. You often ponder the root cause of a phenomena and things. Yes, I definitely do that. You prefer to act immediately rather than speculate about various options. Do I act immediately, or do I speculate about various options? You know, I am a fast actor, actually. Like, I do kind of react quickly. I don't take forever. I usually kind of know right away with stuff in my personal life. You trust reason rather than feelings. I mean, I want to say yes, but again, like I said earlier, sometimes whatever my intuition is and my gut is, I go with that, and then afterwards I'll come up with very good rationalizations for it, so perhaps I'm not as objective and reasonable as I like to think I am. I'm going to go with uncertain. Because sometimes I think your feelings know better than you do, you know what I mean? Like, you could almost... If you're smart enough, you could talk yourself into anything. But it's possible that your gut sort of knows what the proper thing is for you, and then you can kind of like talk yourself out of that if you're smart enough. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I mean, obviously you want to rely on reason and being objective as much as possible, but if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I really do go more with what my intuition is, and then kind of explain why that makes sense after the fact. I'm going to go with uncertain. You are inclined to rely more on improvisation than on prior planning. Do I improvise quite a bit? I mean, I guess... I don't know. I don't know if I'm, like, super clinical in how I plan stuff out. I actually do think I'm probably more... Like, I act quickly, but I also think I'm pretty orderly and planned out in a way. So I'm going to go with no. I'm going to go with no on that. You spend your leisure time actively socializing with a group of people, attending parties, shopping, etc. No, not even close. You usually plan your actions in advance. Yeah, I usually have a schedule. Your actions are frequently influenced by your emotions. I mean, yeah, I have a schedule, and I'm pretty orderly, but everybody's influenced by their emotions, right? So I would probably say yes, I'm influenced by my emotions, of course. I'm human. You are a person somewhat reserved and distant in communication. Yeah, for the most part I am. Even though it appears... See, it's one of the funny things about taking this test with you guys is that you guys only know the side of me as, like, the YouTuber Kyle Kulinski. And if you watch the show, it appears like, oh my god, that's the most extroverted man on the planet. But funny enough, like, in my private life, in my personal life, I'm actually one of the most introverted people on the planet. So it's kind of funny, the dichotomy, that, like, because of what I do, everybody thinks I'm so extroverted, but, like, the peak of my extroversion is literally what you see on air. Like, that's the peak of it. Outside of that, I'm, like, watching TV or watching YouTube or sitting in a corner not doing anything. You know how to put every minute of your time to good purpose. I mean, I would argue every minute of my time is put to good purpose, but a lot of that thing that I consider good purpose is like watching some bullshit on TV. So I'm just going to go uncertain. You often contemplate the complexity of life. Yeah, I think I do. After prolonged socializing, you feel you need to get away and be alone. Yes, absolutely. You often do jobs in a hurry. Probably not, no. You easily see the general principle behind specific occurrences. I think I do, yes. You frequently and easily express your feelings and emotions. No. Definitely not. You find it difficult... See, this is funny because politically, yes, but in my personal life, no. And I'm going more in my personal life here. You find it difficult to speak loudly. Obviously not. You get bored if you have to read theoretical books. Theoretical books? Yeah, like, I like history stuff more and, like, things that actually happened. If you go to theory. Well, political theory I like, but not, like, fictional shit. I'm just going to put uncertain. You tend to sympathize with other people. Yeah, I think I do. You value justice higher than mercy. Yeah, but you could argue those aren't necessarily at odds with each other. Those aren't mutually exclusive. I'm going to go uncertain. You rapidly get involved in social life of a new workplace. No. The more people you speak to, the better you feel. No. But that's funny because for the audience, yes, like when I speak to you guys, the better I feel. But that's not the same as in my private life. I don't want to talk to anybody. You see what I'm saying? Like, I like talking to you guys, but I don't like talking to people in my private life. I'd rather, the fewer people I speak to in my private life, the better. You tend to rely on your experience rather than theoretical alternatives. Generally, yeah, I think so. As a rule, you proceed only when you have a clear and detailed plan. Yeah, I mean, I think I do that, but maybe I don't. Like, maybe I actually don't, and I just think I do. Uncertain. You easily empathize with the concerns of other people. Yeah, I think I do. You often prefer to read a book than go to a party. Yeah, I do. When with a group of people, you enjoy being directly involved and being at the center of attention. Actually, no, I don't. I just happen to... It's weird because I just happen to be in that situation because of what I do, like being on YouTube and having a show, and so like that happens a lot, but no, it's not that I prefer that. It just ends up being like that. You are more inclined to experiment than to follow familiar approaches. No, I'm actually very temperamentally conservative in that I'm orderly and structured, and I have a schedule, and I like to follow familiar things. You are strongly touched by the stories about people's troubles. Yeah, I think I am. Deadlines seem to you to be of relative rather than absolute importance. I don't know. I'm sort of mixed on what I think about hard deadlines. You prefer to isolate yourself from outside noises. Yes, definitely. For you, It is easier to gain knowledge through hands-on experience than from books or manuals. Yeah, I think that I learn more like that, even though I don't think that's necessarily the best thing. I think people are better off if they can learn from books and manuals and other people's experience. But I'm an idiot, so it's like I have to learn from firsthand experience usually. You think that almost everything can be analyzed. Yeah, I do. For you, no surprise is better than surprises. Bad or good ones? No surprises. Oh, no surprises is better than surprises. Bad or good ones? It depends. I'm not sure. I'm just gonna go uncertain. You take pleasure in putting things in order. Absolutely. You feel at ease in a crowd. I feel at ease talking in front of a crowd, but like just being in a crowd, like in a party. No, I don't like parties at all. You have good control over your desire and temptations. I don't know. I think I'm pretty standard on that front when I think of desires and temptations. I'm just going to go uncertain. Like, I feel like I have a pretty good control over it, but I think I'm actually relatively average on that front. You easily understand new theoretical principles. No, I don't think I do. I think I'm actually pretty stupid. You usually place yourself nearer to the side than in the center of the room. Yeah, see, again, this is one of those ones where I'm a bag of contradictions, because I'm certainly at the center of the room on my YouTube show, and when I go to these events and I do public speaking, but in terms of if you put me at a party, I'm not at the center of the room. I'm not at the center of attention. I'm off in the corner minding my own business. So, I don't know. I'm just going to go uncertain. Depends on the context. When solving a problem, would you rather follow a familiar approach than seek a new one? When solving a problem, you would rather follow a familiar approach than seek a new one. Yeah, I do kind of feel that way. A thirst for adventure is something close to your heart. New. When considering a situation, you pay more attention to the current situation and less to a possible sequence of events. I think I do both. I'm just going to go uncertain. When solving a problem, you consider the rational approach to be the best approach. Well, I think that's like, by definition, true, but that's not necessarily what I do. I think, like I told you a million times, I think I'm more of like I immediately know the thing I think is correct, and I do that, and then I explain it afterwards. You know what I mean? But yes, objectively speaking, it's better to be rational every step of the way. When solving a problem, you consider the rational approach to be the best. I mean, how could you say no to that? I'm going to say yes to that. You find it difficult to talk about your feelings. In my personal life and private life, yes, I do. When it comes to, like, world events and affairs, no, I don't. At all. And I'm very open and honest and wear my heart on my sleeve when it's that context. I guess I have to put no for that reason. You find it difficult to talk about your feelings? No. Your decisions are based more on the feeling of a moment than on the thorough planning. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, yes, I do think my feelings are based more on the initial feel of it, and then afterwards I can come up with good reasons as to why I did what I did or explain myself well. You prefer to spend your leisure time alone or relaxing in a tranquil atmosphere? Yes. You feel more comfortable sticking to conventional ways? In some ways, yes. I like order, I like schedule, but in other ways, no. In a lot of ways, I'm pretty default rebellious, I guess, but it's like I'm conservative in my rebellion, if that makes sense. So, like, yes, I rebel. Yes, I go against, like, social convention and whatnot, but once I paved my path, I was very conservative and orderly in sticking to that path, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to go uncertain. You were easily affected by strong emotions. Uncertain. You're always looking for opportunities. No. As a rule, current preoccupations worry you more than your future plans. I don't know. It is easy for you to communicate in social situations. Well, yeah, but doesn't mean I like to do it. You rarely deviate from your habits. Yes. You willingly involve yourself in matters which engage your sympathies. I I don't know if I do. You easily perceive various ways in which events could develop. I don't know. That's a weird one. All right, let's see what I am. I feel like I'm all over the place. ISTJ. Interesting. I'm an introvert. I'm a sensing person. I'm a thinking person, and I'm a judging person. And it's 44%, 9%, 3%, 25%. That's really interesting. You have moderate preference of introversion over extroversion. That's interesting because I assumed I was actually a very strong introvert, but I guess the fact that like I talk for a living, like that bleeds over into my overall personality in a sense. So it's like I can't be a hardcore introvert given what I do. So I get that. You have a moderate preference for introversion over extroversion. You have a slight preference of sensing over intuition. That's interesting because I thought I was more about intuition than sensing. You have marginal or no preference of thinking over feeling. So I'm ever so slightly more on the thinking side of the spectrum than the feeling side of the spectrum, only 3%. You have moderate preference of judging over perceiving. Interesting. All right, so let's see more about this. ISTJs, introverted, sensing, thinking, judging. It is in keeping with tradition throughout our history that I should express simply and directly the opinions which I hold concerning some of the matters of present importance. Herbert Hoover said that. Yeah, but he was one of the worst presidents of all time. I'm not kidding about that. He was really bad. But that's funny that he apparently was this. ISTJs are often called inspectors. They have a keen sense of right and wrong, especially in the area of interest and or responsibility. They are noted for devotion to duty. Punctuality is a watchword of the ISTJ. The secretary, clerk, or businesswoman or man by whom others set their clocks is likely to be an ISTJ. As do other introverted thinkers, ISTJs often give the initial impression of being aloof and perhaps somewhat cold. That actually sounds spot on for my personal life. Effusive expression of emotional warmth is not something that ISTJs do without considerable energy loss. That's so true. ISTJs are most at home with just the facts, ma'am. They seem to perform at the highest efficiency when employing a step-by-step approach. Once a new procedure has proven itself or been shown to work, the ISTJ can be depended upon to carry it through, even at the expense of their own health. This reminds me a lot of the early days of Secular Talk when I was working like 80 hours a week and just shitting out videos nonstop on YouTube. ISTJs are easily frustrated by the inconsistencies of others, accurate, especially when the second parties don't keep their commitments. So true. But they usually keep their feelings to themselves, in my private life, yes, unless they are asked. And when asked, they don't mince words. The truth wins out over tact. The grim determination of the ISTJ vindicates itself in officiation of sports events, judiciary functions, or an other situation which requires making tough calls and sticking to them. The SJ orientation draws the ISTJ into the service of established institutions, homes, social clubs, government, schools, the military, churches. See, that's funny, because this is where they're wrong. I'm obviously I guess government you can make an argument for, but I really more paved my own path in a sense and went out on a limb to do what I do as opposed to, going through some steps for an established institution. These are the bastions of the SJ. We've always done it this way is often reason enough for many ISTJs. That's totally not me. Threats to time-honored traditions or established organizations are the undoing of SJs and are to be fought at all costs. Yeah, that last part is, I don't think, all that much pertinent to me, but it's what the test says. Let's see. Functional analysis of the ISTJ. Introverted sensing. It's oriented towards the world of forms, essence, generics. Time is such a form, quantifiable essence. What the fuck are they saying here? Yeah, I don't know what they're saying here. Oh, I'm sorry. This is just the definitions again. All right, so there you go. That's what this is. Let me see if I'm missing anything else here. ISTJ careers. Let's see what they say on that front. And then we'll see if they have the list of the famous ISTJs. Let's see. Due to their natural strengths, ISTJs are often find themselves in occupations that involve controlling production, processes effectively, orientation to details, clear-cut planning, occupations that require responsibility, and being an efficient worker. They are found across a wide range of industries and verticals and organizations of all sizes. ISTJs succeed as military and police workers, LOL. Engineers, auditors, lawyers, surgeons. They are found in technology companies. Among those who deal with the practical aspects of technology, like implementation specialists. That's so not me. It's hilarious. ISTJs make good project managers, mid-ranked managers, department heads. Okay, famous ISTJs. Here we go. ISTJ, introverted sensing, thinking, judging, is one of the 16 personality types of the Myers-Briggs test. ISTJs are one of the most common types, interesting, making up an estimated 13% of the population. ISTJs are clear-sighted, logical, and efficient. They are planners rather than spontaneous and prefer order and routine in their work and home lives. They value tradition, hierarchy. That was all correct until valuing tradition and hierarchy. I do value clarity of purpose, but not necessarily tradition and not necessarily hierarchy. ISTJs are clear-sighted, logical, and efficient. They value tradition, hierarchy, and clarity of purpose. To some of the more creative types, ISTJs can seem dull and unimaginative, unwilling to break the rules, and unable to respond flexibly to changing situations. But ISTJs are steady and reliable. If an ISTJ tells you something will be done, you can trust that it will be. Here are some of the famous ones. Yeah, George Washington. Cool. Queen Elizabeth. Boo. Condoleezza Rice. Boo. Andrew Johnson. Benjamin Harrison. Harry Truman. George H.W. Bush. Ew. Queen Rania of Jordan, Frederick the Great, King of Prussia, Mitt Romney, oh no, that's terrible. All right, business, Henry Ford, Jeff Bezos, Peter Thiel. I think Henry Ford is the only decent one there. John D. Rockefeller. Let's see what else we got. Religious figures, don't care. Pope Benedict, he covered up pedophilia, terrible. I shouldn't be in any group with him. ISTJs make excellent coaches and role players on the field. Evander Holyfield, Jack Nicklaus, Mike Krzyzewski, Tom Landry, John Wooden. Actors and entrepreneurs, Robert De Niro, Gary Sinise, Julia Roberts. Denzel Washington, yes! I found one I'm very proud of. Natalie Portman, Anthony Hopkins, Kirk Douglas, Julia Roberts, Gary Sinise, John Malkovich, Jean-Claude Van Damme. That's funny. Johnny Carson, Malcolm McDowell, Jack Webb, Billy Bob Thornton. Why are there so many actors that fit in this? Tony Shalhoub, I don't even know who that is. Jack Palance, Ethan Hawke, Nick Offerman, Jamie Heineman, Danica McKellar, Misha Collins, Chris Christopherson, military, Stonewall Jackson. Musicians, Alan Jackson, George Strait, Sting, Rivers Cuomo, Alan Jackson, Martina McBride. Philosophers, Sigmund Freud. That's pretty cool, even though he had some crazy ideas. Martin Heidegger, Thomas Hobbes. ISTJ's love for order often drives them to find ways to clarify human thought and experience. Interesting. Fictional characters, Rick Grimes, Ron Swanson. This is hilarious. Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. What the fuck? This is all fake. These people can't take tests. What? I don't get it. They wrote into the characters that they're ISTJs, like the people who wrote Vegeta in. That's hilarious. That's so funny. Hank Hill. Okay. So anyway, you guys, I'll leave this this test in the video description box below if you guys want to take it. It's pretty cool. Again, I don't know how scientific it is. I don't know how accurate it is, but it's interesting nonetheless. And you'll get a sense of what this very famous, well-known personality test, what kind of person you are according to this. There's 16 different types of personalities, and you fall somewhere on that spectrum. And so, you could determine how much weight you want to put on the test. But either way, it's fun, and it was worth doing it, and I'm happy that I got to share it with you guys. So enjoy taking it if indeed you're going to take it.